Hi everyone! In this video, we are going to talk about a powerful teaching from Bashar that changed the way I see my own life, and specifically how I approach finance. If you feel like your personal finance journey is stuck in a loop, it's probably because you're still trying to build wealth while being anchored to a version of yourself that doesn't exist anymore. Most people think they're failing at how to make money or investing because of bad luck, but the real reason is that they haven't learned how to collapse their past identity to create a new reality. Today, we're breaking that cycle. Before we dive deep, make sure you look down at the description. I've left the links to the books that fundamentally changed my life and how I view the world of success, plus a free PDF material to help you stay on track and maintain your focus. Also, if you want to master your mindset and stop living at the mercy of your circumstances, hit that subscribe button right now. It really helps the channel grow. Let's get into it. In a session with Bashar, a man shared a deep, painful memory from his childhood. He felt impure because of something that happened back then. He was carrying this weight for decades, letting it define his worth, his confidence, and his ability to move forward. Bashar didn't give him a long, complicated therapy session. He looked at him and asked, with absolute clarity, "Are you still that child?" The man said no. Bashar simply asked, "Then why are you still recreating that experience in your present?" This is the exact trap that keeps your personal finance results stuck in the mud. Most people carry around a financial identity they built years ago. Maybe you grew up hearing that money is hard to come by, or that you aren't the type of person who is good with numbers. You think that because you struggled in the past, or because you made a series of bad decisions in your 20s, that you are permanently flawed. But Bashar is showing us something revolutionary. The past does not exist. It is not a solid, fixed thing that follows you around like a shadow. It only exists because you keep agreeing to drag it into the now. Every single time you learn something new, every time you decide that you prefer a different way of living, the change has already happened. You are not the person who made those mistakes. You are the person who is learning from them. But the mind loves drama. The mind loves the comfort of the old story. It wants to keep a continuous line from the person you were 10 years ago to the person you are right now. We create this illusion that there is one stable, permanent me moving through time. We think, well, that's just how I am. But Bashar dismantles this entirely. He explains that if you have learned from an error and you are choosing to behave differently today, then the person who acted that way in the past literally does not exist anymore. You are a new definition. You are a new version. Think about how this applies to how to make money. If you still identify with the version of you that was broke, or the version of you that was afraid to ask for a raise, or the person who blew their savings on things that didn't matter, you are literally voting for that version to stay in charge of your bank account. It's like trying to run a high-performance engine while keeping the parking brake on. You keep looking in the rearview mirror and wondering why you aren't reaching your wealth goals fast enough. The reason is simple. Your focus is stuck on a ghost. Bashar says, nobody can make you feel anything. Others might suggest, the culture might push you to feel guilty, but you are the one who decides to sustain that feeling. If you don't want to identify with that old pain, or that old failure, or that old way of handling your finance, just stop agreeing with it. It sounds too simple, right? We've been conditioned to think that solving deep-seated problems requires years of struggling. But what if the struggle is just part of the agreement you've made with your past? Consider this. You have been told that you have a history. You have a credit history, a work history, a life history. We treat these documents as if they are the truth of who you are, but those are just records of what you did, not the potential of who you are. When you decide to focus on investing in a new version of yourself, you're essentially rewriting your own internal code. You aren't just changing your habits, you're changing your source.
I've had friends who were deep in debt, people who thought they were naturally bad with money. They spent years beating themselves up, believing they were cursed. Then they had that moment, that Bashar moment, where they realized, wait, I am not that person anymore. They stopped agreeing with the old story. They stopped talking about their debt like it was their personality. They started acting like the person who is capable of building wealth, not the person who is running from bankruptcy. And you know what? Everything shifted. Their opportunity shifted, their ability to make smart decisions with their money shifted. Because they finally let the old identity die, the new one had room to breathe. You have to understand that your identity is not a fixed monument. It's a choice you make in every single second. Even if it feels like there is a thread connecting you to the child you were or the person you were last year, that thread is an illusion. You are a sequence of different selves, each one held up by the definition you choose right now. When you change your definition, your entire reality has to catch up. People will notice that you are different. Opportunities that were hidden from you before will suddenly appear. You will stop making the same mistakes because, quite frankly, you aren't the same person who is capable of making them. The pressure from society is real. People around you might want you to stay the same because that's how they recognize you. They might tell you, oh, you're trying to be fancy now, or don't get ahead of yourself. Ignore them. They are just trying to keep you in the frame of reality they are comfortable with. Your job is to be selfish with your identity. Your job is to define who you are regardless of what your past says. You are the boss of your own universe, and in your universe, you have the absolute undisputed power to say, that version of me is gone. That version of me is no longer in charge. I am the one deciding how I manage my life, my money, and my future from this point on. This is not about being fake or pretending to be someone else. This is about finally being honest about who you prefer to be. Most people are afraid to choose their preferred self because they are terrified that they won't have proof that it's real. But proof doesn't come before the decision. The decision comes first. You choose the identity, you step into the shoes of that person, and the reality follows. It is the most powerful way to operate in the world. It's not just a nice idea, it's how reality actually works, frame by frame, second by second.
Bashar takes this idea even further, and it's honestly one of the most mind-bending parts of his teachings. He explains that whatever you create for yourself right now, it arrives with a past that you still believe is relevant to you. Think about that for a second. It means that even when you decide to change who you are in this very moment, your mind, that clever, persistent machine, immediately builds a background story. It constructs a history, a narrative, a set of memories that proves why this new version of you makes sense. We have been taught that the past is this fixed, concrete thing, like a book already written that sits on a shelf. We think we have to carry that book around forever, adding new pages but never changing the beginning. But Bashar says that's a total misunderstanding of how existence works. The past isn't a graveyard of things that happened and are gone. It's a living, breathing reality that is being created anew every time you shift your focus. Every time you change who you are, the universe doesn't just give you a new present, it gives you a new past that is perfectly aligned with your new identity. Imagine the space-time continuum as this massive, infinite web. You are moving through it like a needle, and wherever you land, your presence there pulls a certain history into coherence. You aren't just moving to a new destination, you are bringing a new set of causes and effects with you. Why is this so important for your life? Because it proves that you are not a victim of your background. If you believe your present is just a consequence of an unchangeable past, you are choosing to be a prisoner of a fixed reality that doesn't actually exist. Bashar is firm. Everything is created from the present. There is no such thing as a fixed past. The past is just one of many parallel realities that you can choose to access. It is simply a narrative among millions of others, and you connect to the one that matches the definition you carry right now. Let me give you a practical example, something I've seen in my own life and with friends who were trying to shift their direction. Think about someone who spent years defining themselves as unlucky or not the type to succeed. Their past is filled with memories that confirm that. The time they lost money on a bad deal, the time they didn't get the promotion, the time they felt like the world was against them. They have a whole library of evidence. But then they have that shift. They decide, no, I am someone who succeeds. I am someone who finds ways to make things work. The moment they truly internalize that new identity, something strange happens to their history. Those unlucky memories start to lose their sting. They might even remember them differently. They start to see how those failures were actually lessons that prepared them for the success they're having now. The past literally reconfigures itself to support the new, successful version of them. They aren't lying to themselves, they are accessing a different parallel reality where that past always served the purpose of growth. Bashar even suggests that this applies to our collective history as a species. He says that what you consider to be human history or scientific progress right now might not have been the same history 5 minutes ago. That sounds crazy, right? But if you understand that we are shifting through billions of realities every second, it starts to make sense. We are continuously reconfiguring the collective story to match the frequency of who we are becoming as a society. This is the ultimate answer to why people stay stuck. They ask, why do I keep having these painful memories? Why can't I stop thinking about the things I regret? The answer is that you are choosing to keep your focus on those memories. You are choosing to keep that version of the past relevant to your identity. By doing that, you keep yourself in a reality where that past is still the truth. But you have the power to break that continuity. You can decide that those memories are no longer relevant to the version of you that is building a future. When you break the continuity, you realize that you aren't stuck with the same past. You can have a different past every single day. We have the illusion that we've always had the same history because that gives us a sense of stability. It makes the world feel solid. But the stability is just a trick of the light, a way for our consciousness to keep the movie of our lives running smoothly. When you fully grasp this, you stop negotiating with what was. You stop trying to heal the past as if it were a wound that won't close. You realize that the wound only stays open because you keep checking on it. You just need to be someone else. You just need to occupy a different space in the infinite. And when you do, the past will take care of itself. It will align with who you are now because the universe is perfectly consistent. You are the conductor of the orchestra, and the past is just the sound that follows your lead. Stop looking at the notes you played yesterday. Start playing the song you want to hear today. That is how you stop being a product of your story and become the author of your reality. Now, here is the part where Bashar gets extremely practical. He knows that all this talk about shifting realities and reconfiguring the past sounds great, but you're probably sitting there wondering, okay, but how do I actually apply this in my messy, complicated, real-world life? How do I stop the internal noise and actually align my thoughts with my experience? This is where he introduces the AAA formula. In the US, AAA is that roadside assistance service you call when your car breaks down. Bashar uses that as a perfect metaphor. Whenever the vehicle of yourself feels like it's breaking down, when you're stressed, anxious, or feeling like you're stuck in a rut, you can call for backup. This AAA stands for acknowledge, appreciate, and allow. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but it is one of the most powerful tools you can have. Acknowledge means you look at where you are right now, no matter how bad it looks, and you stop pretending it's not there. You stop running from your reality. You acknowledge the feeling, the bank balance, the challenge. You stop the mental gymnastics of trying to suppress your stress. Appreciate is the secret sauce. You look for something, anything in that situation that you can be grateful for, even if it's just the fact that you're breathing or that you have a roof over your head. This pulls you out of the scarcity mindset that keeps you trapped in lacking mode. And allow is the final crucial step. You abandon the desperate need to control the outcome. You stop trying to force the universe to move at your pace, and you accept that the flow of reality already knows how to reorganize itself. Bashar says, acknowledge, appreciate, allow. It's a mantra. If you start your morning with that, if you use that when a surprise bill lands on your desk, you start to recenter yourself. It is the ultimate permission slip to step out of your own way. But this is just a tool to help you get to the main event, the formula of excitement. Many people think they are already following their excitement, but they are actually falling into a subtle trap. They are forcing it. They are trying to make things happen. And the second the universe doesn't deliver the result they want, they label it as failure or fear. Bashar is very direct. You have to be brutally honest with yourself. Sometimes what you call excitement is actually just a reaction to fear. You're chasing a goal not because you love the process, but because you are terrified of the alternative. He tells us that we don't have to reject the negative emotions. We can actually use them as a springboard. Think of a negative experience as a mirror that shows you exactly what you don't want. Use that contrast to clarify what you do want. But, and this is the important part, you cannot see that clearly if you are stuck in a state of resentment. You have to stay in a positive state to use the negative as a tool. I know. You're thinking, how can I stay positive when I'm dealing with a crisis? Bashar says this is not a natural reaction, it's a learned one. We have been conditioned, programmed by culture to react to challenges with panic, anger, or worry. It's what we see in the movies, it's what we hear from our families. But just like learning a sport or a new language, you can rewire this. Every time you have the chance, consciously choose to stay centered. It's like a muscle. At first, it's weak, but with practice, you get better at it. You start noticing when your heart starts racing, and you consciously decide to breathe through it. You acknowledge the stress, you appreciate the lesson, and you allow the feeling to pass through you without letting it set up camp in your mind. The biggest mistake people make is thinking that excitement only counts if it's a massive, life-changing event. They think, I'll be happy when I get that big contract, or I'll be excited when I hit this specific financial target. But the universe doesn't work in bursts, it works in a constant flow. Bashar teaches that every single moment has the same potential for excitement. Even the mundane things, waking up, making coffee, putting on your shoes, can be done with the same intensity as the big moments. When you create a hierarchy of moments where some are important and others are waste, you are actually cutting yourself off from the energy you need to succeed. If you treat your life like you're just waiting for the big win, you're missing the point. The win is in the process. The win is in how you handle the daily grind. I've seen people who were so obsessed with their big break that they treated their actual life like a waiting room. They were miserable for years, and guess what? They never got to the big break because you can't reach a high vibration reality with a low vibration attitude. You have to start living with passion now. Decorate your space, listen to music you love, be mindful of how you start your day. Don't wait for the bank account to be full before you start acting like someone who has control over their life. The excitement is not at the finish line. The excitement is the engine that drives you there. Bashar reminds us, you are an infinite and eternal being. What is the rush? That hit me hard. We live in a world that tells us we are running out of time, that we are behind on our goals. But when you realize you are infinite, the pressure disappears. The anxiety that comes from needing to make it happen is actually what slows everything down. You are not meant to suffer your way to success. You are meant to evolve into it, step by step, by making every single frame of your existence count. So stop rushing. Stop treating your life like a race to the finish. Start treating it like a masterpiece that you are painting 1 second at a time. When you realize that even the smallest action, even something as simple as how you handle your daily routine, is part of your creation, you stop looking for the escape and start finding the ecstasy. You are already in the flow. You just have to allow yourself to feel it. It's not about transforming only the major events. It's about discovering that every single second of your life is an opportunity to experience who you really are. This isn't just theory. This is the way to live if you want to be truly unstoppable. We are wrapping up today, and I want to leave you with the absolute core of this teaching. Bashar emphasizes that we often get lost in the why and the how, but the real breakthrough happens when you realize that life is not meant to be hurried or justified. We treat our lives like a project that needs a completion date. We act as if there is a finish line where we can finally stop and breathe. But the finish line is a lie. If you are infinite, what are you rushing toward? When you feel that internal pressure, that tightness in your chest because you think you should be further ahead in your career, or because your bank account doesn't look the way you want it to, that is not you moving towards success. That is you trying to escape the present. And here is the secret. You cannot build a prosperous future by running away from the now. The now is the only place where the energy of creation actually lives. I've had clients who spent years in this state of next step anxiety. They were so busy looking at the next month, the next year, the next major goal that they completely neglected the daily actions that actually moved the needle. They would forget that a business is built in the daily choices, that wealth is generated by the habits you maintain today. If you are always looking for the next big thing, you lose the power of the present moment. You have to learn to savor the process. Even if you are just starting out, even if you are in the middle of a struggle, that struggle is part of the masterpiece. If you can approach it with the awareness that you are eternal, the weight lifts, the panic subsides. You start to realize that you aren't just trying to make money, you are expressing your creative power through the medium of your life. This is why the perspective of frame by frame is so transformative. Imagine your life is a film. If you are only obsessed with the ending of the movie, you lose the joy of the scenes that make it a great story. Bashar says that each moment is complete in itself. Every single frame contains the whole of your potential. When you treat your morning routine, your work, your investing strategy, and even your rest as if they are meaningful in their own right, you change your frequency. You stop acting like a beggar who is waiting for the universe to drop a gift, and you start acting like the creator who is intentionally placing every piece of the puzzle. You have the freedom to redefine yourself every morning. When you wake up, before you check your phone, before you worry about bills, before you let the world tell you who you are, just pause. Ask yourself, who am I choosing to be today? That is not just a poetic question. That is a command to the universe. You are setting the vibration. You are telling the quantum field exactly what kind of experience you are ready to have. And because you are infinite, you are not limited to one path. You can choose to be the version of you that is bold. You can choose to be the version of you that is calm under pressure. You can choose to be the version of you that makes smart finance decisions automatically. Remember, the version of you that is struggling does not have to be the version of you that finishes this day. You can shed that skin. You can leave that identity behind the moment you stop agreeing with it. It's an act of courage to drop the story that made you feel safe, even if that story was a story of suffering. But it is the only way to open the door to the life you actually want. This simple method of choosing your definition in every moment is the key to your freedom. I want to personally thank you for staying with me until the very last minute. Thank you for being here, for investing your time in your own growth, and for choosing to take control of your reality. I truly appreciate you being part of this community. We'll see each other in the next video, where we will dive even deeper. Before you go, make sure you look down at the description. I've left the links to the books that fundamentally changed my life and how I view the world of success and how to make money. You'll also find a free PDF material there that I put together to help you stay on track and maintain your focus when the world tries to distract you. Go grab that right now. It's going to be a huge asset in your daily routine. And if you haven't yet, take a second to hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and ensures you don't miss any of these deep dives. This is your time to stop living at the mercy of your circumstances and start creating the life you deserve. See you in the next one.